Hello, everyone. For the Brazilians, a good morning. For the South Africans, good afternoon. This one today, we're gonna have this one in English. I have someone from South Africa. I think we've been talking a lot about crypto and a few conferences that we kind of bumped each other in South Africa. For those that don't know me, my name is Rocelo Lopes. I am from East Tradung Blockchain Group. We are a company that we go from mining to smart contracts. We've been developing the solutions all over the world, payment systems, payment gateways. But today it's going to be nice because I have someone that is just joined to my club, to the same club as I am, this one here. All right. So looks like lately Richard joined the club, but I will let him first introduce himself, tell us exactly what he's doing over there and how he get involved on this and all that. Richard, can you please tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, hey Rocelo, thanks so much for having me on this show. I really appreciate you taking some time to chat to me. It's really nice to catch up with you again. I've seen you a couple of times in South Africa, and I've really just liked the way that you think, and the way that you are trying to push crypto to the people, and also your attitude to the regulators. I like the balanced approach that you take, but also the fact that you want things to go ahead without the restrictions that these regulators are constantly trying to put on this industry. My name is Richard de Sousa. I'm the CEO of Altcoin Trader. It was a platform that I built in 2015. Back in those days, it was still possible for a single person to build an exchange. These days, the way technology has, of course, progressed, I don't think that would ever be possible anymore. Obviously, right now, we've got a team of developers that work on the platform, so it's no longer a one-man show, and we've grown because the company has been around for a little over 5 years now. So yeah, that's me, and let's take it from there.
Okay, so tell me, like you said, like you start from scratch. So you basically went there and then you started to do all the stuff. So basically, is doing. So how hard was to do that, especially in South Africa? But because from what I remember, back in the day, South Africa only had a kind of exchange, right? So it was not a real exchange. So and then the most important question is like, all right, how was it to do that? And when you start, was any regulation in place, or anyone was the Reserve Bank was saying anything? Was anything out there where you just say, you know what, let's do it, and let's say what people will say, will talk about it?
Well, that's actually a very interesting story. What happened with that is I initially became extremely frustrated because I got into Bitcoin in 2011. I remember buying my first Bitcoins for $6, and it was a very, very cumbersome process. I would actually have to go into a program called Second Life, and then I would buy the Bitcoin from a platform called Vervox. Now we're talking about before Mt. Gox. And then things started to evolve, and I started to get more and more into cryptocurrency. And I eventually got to the point where I was trading and buying crypto on Mt. Gox. And in a really weird way, Mt. Gox was very inspirational to me. And when I say a weird way, because I looked at that platform and I said, this is so bad that I could build something like this. It wasn't an amazing, flashy platform. It was built with a very primitive technology. And I said, if these guys can do it and become the biggest in the world, I can certainly do it. So I went and I actually at those stages got two partners, and that we were going to try and get this thing going. And I thought it would take me 3 months to code the platform, bearing in mind that I was a financial programmer. I used to have a little website company, and we picked up a lot of work with accountants and doing tax calculators and doing financial transaction calculators. So I had a fair amount of knowledge. I could program, not great, but reasonably well. And then, of course, I got into Bitcoin. And like I think, with so many people, yourself included, once that idea of what Bitcoin was and how it could actually liberate us, as a human species from this precious financial system, the bug bit, and I started coding. To make a long story short, it was actually 16 months later, and we came to market with a very rudimentary platform. It wasn't very good, but it had three coins. It had Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Namecoin in those days. And just before we launched, another company in South Africa came to the forefront, and they were called BitX in those days. And they actually launched an exchange before us. So, it took me 16 months before I had a product that I could actually bring out and launch.
Was any regulation in that time? Because I mean, I think I remember when I got involved with Bitcoin, I was in South Africa in 2013, and I was in the same boat as you. I was so frustrated when I found out that on 2014 that I actually, the first place that I tried to sell my Bitcoins was on Mt. Gox, and that was in December 2013. And I was like, why this thing's supposed to be so complicated? Well, number one, to understand Bitcoin was complicated for me. And I'm a guy from the technology world. So I was doing telecom and it was crypto. So I was already into the thing. And then for me, it was so complicated. And it's like, how can someone make even more complicated with something that is already complicated? That was in my mind. That was that. But in my mind also was like, what is the regulator will say about that? So on that moment, it crossed your mind to say like, should I ask the Reserve Bank? Should I ask someone to do this thing, or just let me go there and do it?
At that time, I was still very new at business, and I was still young enough to say, I'm just doing it. I don't care what the consequences are, because I was absolutely passionate about Bitcoin. And, I've often said this, the drive was just to bring crypto to the South African people, because I couldn't get crypto. And I was one of those, I suppose, aggravating people that was telling everyone about Bitcoin, and it wasn't even available in our country. So that was the drive, and there was no regulation. We did speak to the bank. We spoke to one or two attorneys, and they didn't even understand our questions, let alone what it was. So they were not in a position to give any advice. Even to this day, Bitcoin is not properly regulated in South Africa. I say properly because, earlier today I was very, very frustrated with an article that came out with someone in government saying that it's better to go to a casino than it is to invest in Bitcoin. And that frustrated me so much, because it just shows that people don't understand that crypto and Bitcoin is the top performing financial asset. I'm talking gold, oil, Forex, everything. Nothing is outperforming crypto, and yet they still are putting it in a place where it shouldn't be. So to try and answer your question directly, there was very little regulation. We tried our best to comply with everything, but there was nothing. So it was more of a passion to get crypto to the people, and to get an exchange up and going, and to get the new financial system going, and just, in some way do a small part to contribute to that. That was the driving force behind Altcoin Trader.
Well, it's amazing. I was listening. I was driving my way from my house to the office, and I was reading or listening parts of the article that you said. And it's amazing how some of the authorities or some of regulators, they have no idea what they are talking about, and they just go there and then they say anything. But and then, well, talking about this thing, so then we see what just happened with in America, that FinCEN have a leak report saying that the banks are allowing people to launder money, and we're talking about $2 trillion, and they are worried about the Bitcoin, and they're worried that Bitcoin has been used to launder money. Come on. And then BBC put the information out there saying like, all right, that's what it is. But also, even for example, that's something in South Africa, most of people, they don't know that as Brazil, you cannot send money. It's not easy to send money overseas, right? It's really complicated. It's difficult. So then come Bitcoin right on the picture, and then say, well, go to altcoin trade, deposit your money, buy Bitcoin, transfer overseas, sell your Bitcoin overseas. Well, if you're selling your Bitcoin overseas to convert back to dollars, you being a schmuck, All right. So keeping Bitcoin is much better than keeping on the shit money that you are trying to replace. But anyways, if you crazy to do that, so then you are doing this thing. So it's so amazing how easy it is. But I guess the big boys or the guys that play golf with ABSA CEO or FNB CEO, those guys they have no issue to send money overseas, right? So then I don't understand those kind of things. Like the banks, they can do whatever the fuck they want, but the guys from crypto, yeah, you are doing something illegal. Must be doing through laundry money or tax evasion, all that thing. It's amazing how actually the authorities they have no idea. So, but and then talking today, Richard, do you see that? Or we understand there is a few guys on the regulators that they don't understand anything about it. But do you think today the government they are more like say, let me see, are they trying to participate a little bit better now, or they just are like, that's it, I don't care about it because the volume is not good enough? How do you see the picture between today when you start?
Look, certainly, and you are 100% correct. The majority of regulators and people in those positions haven't the faintest idea what they're dealing with. But there is a group in the South African government that we meet with on a regular basis. And, they are positive. These guys are forward thinking people. They are looking at ways to regulate the industry in a constructive way. We've been in negotiation with them for, well, it's now actually years. Some of the ideas that they have are, you can still see that they're not moving with the new finance and how things are going to be in the future. But having said that, they do still have a positive approach. They don't want the exchanges to leave the country. They want us to stay in South Africa. They want us to work with them and to evolve the industry, obviously because they don't want to lose revenue. But as frustrating as it is, they are allowing us to say and to contribute. What has happened to this stage, and the biggest stumbling block, in my opinion, without getting too involved in what the regulation is going to be, is that the current regulation that they are proposing means that you cannot move Bitcoin out of an exchange, even to your own ledger. So if you move it to your ledger, they think that you're moving money out of the country and they want you to pay tax on that, and they want that to contribute to your capital allowance that is allowed to go out of the country. And we're saying, guys, that is the very nature, that is not crypto. You can't work like that. You cannot control it. You cannot try and hold on to something that wasn't created in your country. Because I think we all know that those Bitcoins were certainly not mined here with our current electricity prices. So it is something that has come into the country and now they want to restrict it from going out. That is my biggest problem that I have with the current regulation. Other than that, mostly it would probably work and it would help the industry to gain credibility. And, we could build an industry in South Africa around crypto, a friendly industry. But so it's not all negative. There's a lot of positives that is happening with the government. And hopefully if they continue to listen to industry leaders like ourselves, we will reach a middle ground where crypto, the new financial system, can thrive. Because I think you and I both know, Rocelo, there is nothing that can be done to stop crypto. No matter what anyone says, this is not being stopped and it is not going away. And that's something that I'm extremely excited about.
Yeah, I love to because well, number one, Bitcoin has been died like probably like 10 times already. People every time that something happened, well, that's it. It's the end of Bitcoin. Oh, like they say, I knew it. That's it. It's a scam, and all that thing comes, and then a year later the price doubles, and then again happen again a year later double. So soon, guys, this thing need to stop because double, 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 double all the time. It's kind of complicated, right? So, but talking like I saw that Theo, he put something about related what happened like with BitMEX because BitMEX happened like everybody was talking about BitMEX because what they are doing with their platform, and then now the authorities are after them. So it's a big problem. So do you can see as altcoin trade is one of the biggest platform in South Africa? Do you think the regulator over there also can try to do the same thing with you? The saying, well, because you are allowing people to, like you just said, to withdraw the Bitcoin from your platform, now you part of this thing, so it's money laundering or tax evasion or all kind of that. Do you think that can also bite you as is doing with BitMEX right now?
I think that because of our relationship with the regulators, although it is possible, it seems unlikely because I have learned a lot along this journey as far as dealing with regulators and governments go. And certainly I don't know, there's still a lot to be learned, but I don't think so because we in South Africa are currently working with the regulators. So, it's little things like we have never given personal information about any client deposits or withdrawals. But there has been occasion when they've said, give us a global look of how much funds has flown in and flown out. And that's not only our exchange, but that's all the exchanges. So I am at this stage with South African law very impressed because we actually got to the point where we were able to say that we will not give this information until it is regulated. Very similar to, I remember at one conference when one of the Reserve Bank people was speaking directly to you, Rocelo, you said you will not do KYC because it's not law. And if he wants you to do KYC, you must simply make it law. And I was actually inspired at the way that you spoke to the guy. You said, hey, I won't do it. If you want me to play ball, make it law. And of course, we know that they can't make it law because it is incredibly complex at this stage. So I think that there is, at this stage, and I know I am the eternal optimist, it is very positive for South Africa. Besides for the things that we've got a law case with ABSA, I'm complaining on YouTube on my channel about what the regulators and people in authority said. Overall, I think it is still positive. I think that the regulators and the current financial system have got a lot of lessons to learn because the new transparent financial system that we are going to be bringing forward to the world does not allow the current level of corruption. So that is something that they're going to have to adjust to.
Yeah, that's I remember that conference. That was the guys from the Reserve Bank, and then was some for another company over there, and then it was funny because they asked about the KYC, and then because I said no, I'm not going to do KYC. There is no chance for me to do KYC because there is no law. And then I remember that the guy debated with me because he says, like, how can you guarantee that the money is not coming from something illegal? And then my answer was pretty much straight. I don't understand one single thing. If my client has money inside ABSA and I'm giving him an account on ABSA as well, so ABSA knows the client and also ABSA knows me, why the hell do I have to ask again for the KYC? If ABSA cannot guarantee that transaction, who am I to do that? Because I don't know the client. The client never came to my branch. The client never came to the branch and here's my passport or here's my ID. So this is the same thing for all the banks. And I debate a lot with those banks, with FNB, with ABSA, with all of them, and then say, guys, the best way for us to operate, it's pretty much simple. We trust so much in you, in your KYC, that if a client from your bank send money to us, good, I trust in you. I trust that you are doing a really proper job. But then all those banks, looks like in South Africa, a lot of banks, they have some issues with that. So they didn't agree. And I think the number one bank, like Theo is just saying now, FNB looks like came after everyone, us included, when we were operating in South Africa, the way we were operating. We changed a little bit. We're going to talk about that a little later. But Richard, do you still hold your account with FNB? Because FNB went after every single one and they started to close their accounts, right? And Altcoin Trade is still with account in FNB?
No. So look, in South Africa, we've got the four big banks. FNB has closed all crypto accounts. So we do not have an FNB account. It's been taken off of our website. And of course, FNB want to have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. This is another reason why the regulators really need to give these banks some type of assurance. And Theo, that is a very good question. What stops the banks closing the accounts like FNB did? So I want to take a second just to address that question and to quickly answer it. At this stage, the cryptocurrency industry in South Africa has a positive working relationship with Standard Bank. This does not mean that they cannot turn around and close our bank accounts. That is certainly something that they could still do, and it is possible. We also have a Nedbank account. But as far as ABSA goes and FNB goes, it's already 2 of the 4 that have removed themselves from anything to do with crypto. Now, what we're going to find extremely ironic in the future is when these banks start to offer crypto. But we'll get onto that at some other time, because they will start offering crypto. There's no way that you can ignore a product that is this good. But anyway, at this stage, Standard Bank are working with us. They are constantly meeting with us, and they are actually regulating us to a certain extent, saying, guys, put this in place, put that in place, please lower the risk here, make sure you do this. So they are actually stepping in and doing some of the work of the regulators. And of course, we are complying because we are very appreciative of the fact that Standard Bank continue to bank us as an industry. If that had to end and Standard Bank had to cut ties with the crypto industry, there are alternatives that we would look at. And those alternatives, I know, Rocelo, you were very passionate at one stage where we could actually start doing a decentralized way of payment, which I personally think would work very well, but the regulators their eyes would fall out of their head, because the way that would be done would be very untraceable and it's unnecessary. Also, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is cash is not illegal. It is the currency and legal tender in South Africa. So there's nothing to stop us from putting up strong rooms or safety deposit boxes and actually taking cash, which once again would open the door for a lot of activity that I'm sure the regulators wouldn't want to see. But there's also things like stable coins. I'm sure you know that we recently brought out XR, the South African stablecoin, which is gaining traction, which means that we could have third parties taking on the cash without even ficking the client, whichever way, and then giving the clients the XR, which they could use in the crypto industry. So it's a good question, Theo. But right now, we can only work with what we know. And right now, we are trying to comply. We are trying to be compliant with not only Standard Bank, but with the regulators, so that this industry is not snuffed out. Although, obviously, I don't believe it can be snuffed out, and we are actively looking for alternatives. Bitcoin and crypto, I'll say one more time, cannot be stopped.
Well, it's amazing. Just for the audience to know about it, like in Brazil, a lot of exchanges, they also have the same issues with banks here in Brazil. We don't have 4 as South Africa. I think we have like 6 like big banks here, and they also did the same thing. Some of the banks says that's it, crypto is not welcome here, and they did whatever they want to do it because they have the power to do it, right? But now here in Brazil, I think this year looks like 16th of November we will have a new system in Brazil, which is we call PIX, PYX. Is a 24-hour service, 7 days a week, from the central bank. Brazil, so it's the same one as the Reserve Bank for South Africa. It's going to be the payment straight managed by the central bank here in Brazil. And that supposedly that everyone is going to be using that one. That is going to give more power to the fintechs that we have in Brazil. In South Africa, fintechs is not that big yet. I only heard about 2 fintechs out there. They are doing like digital banking. So, but in Brazil, there is a bunch of them, even including like really like near very soon we'll be able to us also in Brazil have our own QR code for payment. So the Brazilian central bank are doing their part, and they are trying to build their own system, something like kind of Alipay, but now it's being managed by the central bank here in Brazil. But and then the next point exactly is that I just said out that because the central bank, they looks like here in Brazil, they will do their own stable coin. And as you did your stable coin already. So do you think the central banks, they're going to do their own stable coin? Or like me, I always say, well, if the central bank want to do their own stable coin, they're going to compete with a private stable coin like you did. So it's going to be nice to see a market with a stable coin managed by like a company and a stable coin managed by the government, then you see how incompetent most of the governments they are. So do you think it's going to be a space for a stable coin for the government?
That is an interesting question, one which I've often given a lot of thought. And you know, so the government, I don't believe at any stage would want to work on a blockchain, because the very nature of government is they need to be able to switch and change things. You know what I mean? They cannot be totally transparent with the money, because it would come as a great surprise to a lot of people when they just create more out of thin air. So the government right now, as we speak, does have a digital coin. It's just simply the rand. You know, I mean, if you need to create more money, FNB, ABSA, whatever, they type in their computer and they give you R1,000,000, you buy a house and you start paying it back. I don't believe that that money is actually ever created. So I don't think government, they would have a better digital coin, but they would never have a proper a coin like a stable coin where you can go and see every single transaction on the blockchain, because that simply at this stage wouldn't work for an authority. So I think that the future of currency is, of course, all digital. So every bank, every country, they will have to have digital rand, digital dollars, whatever the currency is, will have to be digital. But it certainly won't be immutable, and it won't be on a blockchain, because blockchain, although it is totally transparent, you can track everything and the records cannot be changed, it is also slow and inefficient, and it's got a lot of negatives, as opposed to a simple database that the central authority can control and can use and can add and remove coins as they need to. So that's my views on it. So it's a kind of a yes and a no answer. Yes, absolutely, digital currency is coming everywhere, but it won't be a mutable blockchain currency at all, not at all.
Yeah, I think it's going to be nice to see what China is doing with their own. So I think that is going to teach us exactly what the governments will do. So it's going to be nice to see. But there is one thing that, like Wagner, he asked here. I think that is something very nice for us to watch as a digital currency from, let's say, from China, right? Especially the Chinese, they are all over the world. But let's say there in South Africa, there is like a Chinese market, even in Cape Town, there is a place over there that's full of Chinese stuff. Let's say that place, they decide to accept. That is the beauty about like some digital currency. Let's say they decide to accept rands or the yuan, the digital one, yuan. So on the moment that someone go to that place and then pay it, the Chinese will receive that few seconds after the payment. So there is no sending money bank to bank anymore. And especially the Chinese who selling his product in South Africa can give a discount to the user and say, if you pay with digital yuan, I give you 5% discount. So the person will fight in the market to get this digital yuan somehow to go there and then pay at 5% discount. The beauty about the whole process, few seconds later, the manufacturer can receive that right there in China. If we try to convert all that to the financial world that we know today, we're going to take a few days, few process, few regulators, and a lot of fees involved. So it's a very different system. So I think it's nice to see what China will do, especially because they are all over the world. And it's going to be nice to see people selling products and receiving digital yuan, exactly to show what it is. But I think let's say the stable coins, like the one that Altcoin Trader they did, I think is going to perform better because there is professionals working on that. There is people that learning about it. There is people studying about it. It's much more usable. And as we know, everything that the government used to do, and when the private companies start, the private sector start to do, they do better. Just look the telecommunication in South Africa itself. If you look what Telkom did, and then look what, let's say, Vodacom did. So you can see it's a different service. And if you didn't have like Vodacom coming to the country, Telkom is still have the same lines, the same service, and everything else. So it's good to have competition in the market. So that will put some pressure on it and will make the service even better. So it's a really, really nice to see those things. Richard, so as you talk about your the stable coin, can you tell us a little bit more like technology, the XR is a ERC20, any exchange can listen. So let's say an exchange overseas, if decide to have that situation, it is possible to listen an exchange. What is the technology that you guys are implementing on XR?
Okay, I'm going to tell you about that. But just before I do, I just want to go circle back to something you said, which I am a very, very big believer in. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head. The second that we can do peer-to-peer money transfers, whether it's with Chinese yuan or whatever it is, and cut out the banks, that is going to take off like fire, and it is going to change everything we know. And I believe that is when the government will lose control of the financial system, purely because there are so many obstacles. Imagine you're a 16 or an 18-year-old and you're coming into the workplace. Now you have to go and stand in the bank and give them all the documentation, and they might or might not give you a bank account depending on how much you earn. Or you can pick up your cell phone and start trading with an app that you've downloaded and have that as your finances and get your money paid in there, and you can spend it and other merchants accept it. That will take off like fire, and it will change everything we know. So peer-to-peer money transfer is something that is going to be very, very exciting. And I agree with you. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this unroll. I mean, even to the point if Libra had to issue, if Facebook ever issued that Libra coin, that I believe would be a massive, massive change of all the financial technology that we know. And that was something that I was very excited about. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I was in favor of it, because I believe it can be incredibly dangerous. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it is exciting that we can take a whole industry and just change it. But to talk a bit about XR. So XR is a stable coin. The idea behind XR is certainly not profit-based. It's not to generate any type of money. It is open for the community to use. And we just wanted it to be a way that people can transition from a centralized exchange like Altcoin Trader to a decentralized exchange like Uniswap. Because as the government comes and brings more and more regulations, there are people that are going to want to go onto decentralized exchanges and have their own sovereign control of their money. And at Altcoin Trader, we are going to make that bridge and that transition possible. So you can simply go and you can put your money into Altcoin Trader. You can move that XR onto a platform like Uniswap, Balancer Pool, Mooniswap, or many of the decentralized exchanges. We have liquidity pools in all of them. So that is up and running right now. It can be done, and a lot of people are actually doing it. You can trade your coins back and forward and expand your portfolio. And only at the point that you want to bring those funds back into South Africa, into the traditional banking system, maybe if you need to buy a car because you've been trading back and forward and you've made a reasonable profit, you could bring that portion of your finances back, bring it back into your bank account, and buy a car through the traditional financial system. So XR is certainly a project that is open for the entire community to use. Altcoin Trader will always back that token one-to-one with the Rand, which means at any stage, if you deposit it into Altcoin Trader, you will be able to withdraw that funds into your South African bank account. If you're not a South African, of course, we cannot send money out of the country because of the regulations, but you would be able to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum with that XR, and then you'll be able to move that out to your wallet. So it is always backed by Altcoin Trader. Obviously, we have all the funds for every single XR that we've released. So it's a product that I'm very excited about. Just the use cases, even the use cases that we haven't thought about, are still coming up on a daily basis. So this technology is just amazing, and it really, really excites me to have products like that are out there. And Rocelo, it is a ERC20 token at this stage. We are looking at expanding it, making it a TRC20 token on the Tron network, so that the fees are not so debilitating, because right now it costs you quite a lot of money to send small amounts. So we're going to overcome that with a TRC coin.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice also. But again, you see, those kind of things is actually amazing how it works, because now there is a huge pressure on Ethereum network, because most of people say like, or either you guys find a solution or you guys already come up with the 2.0 for the Ethereum, or we are moving, everyone is looking to Tron network or using to Cardano. And also those blockchains, those guys, they should just jump on this right now and go after all the stable coins, all the coins in the market that is doing ERC20, and then say, hey guys, come to my blockchain because over here it's cheaper and this and that. So guys, is a you have to step up on this right now. It's your opportunity. Guys like Cardano, Tron, Tezos, there is a bunch of them out there. There is this new one, Polkadot. So it is a lot out there that is their chance right now. Take that advantage. That the gas price for Ethereum is so expensive. Like another day to send, I think to send a few Ethereum or a few Tether, I paid $15 on gas price. That's how expensive it was to do a transaction. So it's crazy. But still, it's good because it's putting a lot of pressure on every single technology. It's really, really nice. And of course, I have to ask you this, right? So the stable coin is paired or is backed by rands that is deposited in the bank. I know it's not the same, like most of the South Africans, a few of them, they still thinking that the rands that you have in your hand is backed by gold. That is a lie. There is not backed by gold. And South Africa is very famous because in South Africa, we produce a lot of gold over there. So gold is something that is in South African veins, but the rand is not backed by gold, right? So the XR is backed by the money in the bank. Is that right, Richard?
That is 100% correct. It is fully backed by the money in the bank. So, and I mean, right now it's an easy process for us to do it. In fact, we've got more rands backing XR than is currently in circulation. We've got a couple of million that is still ready to go out. That is already backed. So it will always be backed, and there will never be a situation where you cannot withdraw. Obviously, our money's in the bank. So as safe as it is in the bank, if the bank frees the money, that's where you can run into trouble. But it's unlikely that that's going to happen. So
well, if you have the bank playing ball with you, and then if the bank are willing to help you, I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So no. then I think it's kind of safe for now. But for sure in the near future, that's why it comes to the point that it's going to become a moment that the bank you're going to call Richard and say, Richard, my brother, come here, my bro. Let's play a little bit of golf. Let's have a braai, and then let's talk about selling this thing called Bitcoin. That is no way. It's no way to the banks not having that. But then, do you think how long? Actually, the question is, how long do you think till the guys from Standard Bank or any of the other banks call you for a nice braai and start to selling crypto? How long do you think that we're going to take?
That's a difficult question, but I think that without a doubt, it's going to happen. I mean, we've already seen Investec. They stood up at the last conference that we did, and that they said that they have custody solutions in place. So any of their clients that want to buy cryptocurrencies, they will store it and hold it and keep it safe for them. And we all know that that's where you start. Whenever you're building an exchange or any crypto service, you need to be able to store the coins. So Investec, they are a bank that is always thinking forward, thinking ahead. They've already got custody services in place for their clients. So I don't think that it's long. I mean, Rocelo, I can see a time when you're going to go to your ATM and you're going to say, I want to buy so many Bitcoin. I can see a time when Facebook is going to accept crypto for adverts. Right now, it's illegal to advertise cryptocurrency on Facebook, or at least not illegal, but it's against their policies. You cannot advertise on YouTube if you're a cryptocurrency vendor or company. But I can see a time when all of these institutions are taking Bitcoin as payments, because it's the obvious way that things are going to go. So to answer your question, I can't see it being longer than 3 years. The banks have to come in. It's a bit like you can't post letters forever. Email came in. If you don't move with the times, you're going to be out of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure. Well, here in Brazil, I have a fight. Me personal, I have a fight with a big bank here in Brazil called Itaú. I already put a wallet and I deposit over there 100 bitcoins. On the moment that the bank started to fall apart, I already told them, don't worry about it. I'll use the 100 bitcoins to buy you guys. So at least there is one bank here in Brazil that I will help them when they need the help. I have 100 bitcoins put apart, so then I can buy them in the future in case they have any issue to do that, right? So, but Richard, I think it's going to be in South Africa soon. We're going to have an event over there. I think it's a crypto fest or something like that. Are you guys going to be on that event too? So I think it's, I don't know if it's this month or next month. Are you guys going to be on that event? So how can people can find out more about altcoin trade?
we are certainly we're a sponsor of that event, and I know we are going out on all of the media that crypto events is putting out. So we're on their socials, the Twitter, the Facebook. So links to our exchange are there, and of course, I mean it's altcointrader.co.za. You can see the sign behind me. There's really only three substantial crypto exchanges in South Africa, and we're one of the three. So we have a lot of people that already know us in South Africa, and of course we're always looking for more clients and more business, and the passion at Altcoin Trader for cryptocurrencies and for what it can bring to society as a whole is the driving force behind our company. A long time ago, it passed the stage when it was about money. And that's why a lot of people in my YouTube videos, I always say, guys, transition to decentralized exchanges. Take your money off of exchanges. They go, this is against what you should be doing if you want more business. But it's more about pushing the idea of crypto. Long ago, we got to a stage where we had to take church away from government. We had to separate church from state because government was using their connection to the church to make stupid rules. And now we've evolved to a place where we have to remove finance from government because they are using their financial power to make stupid rules or bad decisions, and they have very little consequences for their bad decisions. So it's just a natural evolution in us as a species, as humanity. And we are going to get to a point where government has to serve us because there will always be a place for government. But right now they rule us, and they are, they have too much power and too much corruption. And I like government, believe it or not, but I don't like the current situation where they are not held accountable for what they do or the decisions that they make. And that's got to end. And that is the passion. And, everybody on this earth has to stand for something, or even if you contribute a tiny little thing to society. And at Altcoin Trader, we are hoping that can be our thing, that we can try and usher in this new financial system.
It is true. And we're also going to be on Crypto Fest. Carlo, our Stratum Blue manager, we're going to be talking about the Stratum Blue over there, which is our own coin. It's not a stable coin as XR, but it's a different coin that, well, very soon you guys are going to be able to see that on Altcoin Trade for sure, because Richard is not going to say no when we have to listen over there. But yes, it's going to be nice. The Crypto Fest has been, last year we went there. Unfortunately, this year I cannot travel. I would love to go back to South Africa. I would love to be in the event. But we're gonna have Carlo on the event explaining about the Stratum Blue, which it's amazing. And Richard said something about the church. Most of people they don't know, but way back, right? The church in one moment of our existence, of our life, they were the guys that was holding the money. They were the guys that is doing the escrow service, right? So people all the way back used to send the money to the church, and the church were the responsible for the money. Today is not the church anymore. Today it is the government, the responsible for the money. Well, it's the banks, but who rule the banks? Supposed to be the government rule the banks, but we know behind the scenes are the banks who rule the government. But that is in a transition, like Richard said, we are in a transition to say, fuck the banks. I will be my own bank. I will hold my own crypto. And even if it's a stable coin, now, well, Richard just made a way for the South Africans to say, I don't want to leave my money in the bank, especially because I don't trust. But if you guys have a very good deal with the Standard Bank and you guys trust, fantastic. I will trust on this token that is in my hand, and then I can exchange anywhere because it's in the market. I would just say, like for example, like Tether, which is the biggest stable coin in the world right now. And most of people is probably going to say I'm crazy, but I'll ask Richard his opinion on that one too. I think very soon, and I'm talking about very soon, Tether will be in volume, right? In market cap. I think Tether is going to be bigger than Bitcoin on a market cap. And today the transaction itself, it's already sometimes some days is double of the amount that we do in a Bitcoin. But here's what I think that people probably going to say that I'm crazy. I think Tether will pass the US dollar. I really think that piece of paper, I think that Tether is going to be more than that. Going to take a little while, but I think we'll pass. I don't know, what do you think about Tether? Because a lot of people, some people they like, some people they hate, some people say it's a scam. What's your take on this one, Richard?
That's a very interesting question, and to a large extent, I actually agree with you, Rocelo, because look, we've seen Tether on multiple blockchains. They've got TRC20 tokens, they've got ERC20 tokens, they've got Omni tokens on the Bitcoin network. So Tether is already a multi-chain currency. It has got so big that it has got to the point where it is too big to fail. You know, a couple of months ago, we heard about all these things where people were saying, is it fully backed? Isn't it fully backed? And I think that when something gets to the point where people no longer care because the tether itself has the value, you know, no one is going to go and want to swap it for the dollar. It is going to overtake. So I would rather, me personally, I would rather have tether than dollars because it is a lot more useful for me. You know what I mean? I can use it in multiple areas online. I can trade with it. I can swap it. I can buy things with it. But the US dollar has now become very restrictive because I'm a South African. It doesn't have much value to me. But tether, I would take it. And it is growing at an exponential rate. And we know that to a certain degree, when people, when Tether mints a lot of Tether, the Bitcoin price follows. So already it is leading. And I think that as sad as this is, it'll get to the point where no one will care whether it's backed or not because it will have its own value and people will want to trade Tether. Whether it'll overtake the US dollar or not, I don't know what the answer will be to that. But it certainly, to many people, including myself, has a much greater value right now than a US dollar does. So that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Do you guys have Tether on your on altcoin trade?
Absolutely. We've got Tether. We've had Tether for a long time, and it is quite well used. So a lot of people buy, sell, trade with Tether. Yeah. I mean, we've also got DAI, which is the decentralized stablecoin. And we've got XR, yeah, of course. So yeah, those stable coins, they're big on altcoin trader.
Great. And then, well, one last question before we finish this conversation. You also have gold on the platform, am I right?
You're 100% correct, yeah. Gold and silver.
Silver.
And silver.
Because that's not common to people here, especially from Brazil, right? Well, some people are selling, some exchanges, they have packs gold, right, with the token backed by gold. Also the guys from Tether, they have that. But having silver and gold on a platform, that is not something that you're actually mixing, right? Now you're mixing the crypto with precious metal, right? That you have that on the platform. Can you explain a little bit how's the volume going? It's normal over there?
Well, you're right. It was something that we just decided to launch, and it's not normal. A lot of people are still battling to understand the concept. But having said that, a lot of people actually use it quite often. What we found is that people that want to invest in gold, even people that don't like crypto or they don't want to have anything to do with Bitcoin, will deposit money onto altcoin trader. They will buy gold and then they will withdraw that physical gold. In other words, we will give them gold coins, Kruger rands, whatever coin is there, but we give them 1 ounce gold coins. And the way we do that is we have partnered with a lot of the gold traditional coin shops throughout the country. Scoin is our main partner. So if you're in Cape Town, for example, or Bloemfontein or wherever, we will get a branch there and you will go in, show your ID and actually take your coins. So the same thing is you can deposit the coins. If you've got coins under your bed and they're not doing anything for you, you can take those coins into a shop. Obviously, we prearrange it with them. Put the coins in. We will give you the credit in your account. You can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Tether, you can buy XR, and then if you want to switch it back to your gold, you can push it back into gold and go and withdraw it once again. So everything is merging into this digital economy. We don't have a gold and silver token as yet because there was no reason to make one. People are very quick to say, let's make tokens, let's make tokens. We said, guys, we don't need a token. We are talking about real gold and silver. You deposit it and you withdraw it. There's no point of a token. However, that has changed with the boom of the decentralized exchanges, the DEXs. We are going to look at making it into tokens so that it can be traded outside of altcoin trader and we can broaden the ecosphere. So that is the only reason why we would make it a token. But up until now, like right now, today, it's not a token. We have a lot of people that deposit gold, they withdraw gold, or vice versa. The volumes have been very sporadic. So we see days with good volumes and then a lot of days with bad volumes. But it is a service, it is available, and people are starting to understand that basically everything is moving digital, and it's a transition between physical and digital, and you can take it in and out, and it's a very exciting way. Your gold no longer lays under your bed doing nothing. You can switch it to Bitcoin, back to gold, back to Bitcoin, whatever you want to do, and that's what we've created.
So it's nice to see actually physical gold trading against Bitcoin. That is something very, very unique. I can tell you that, my friend, because, and then, well, listen, I don't know, that's going to be, I promise, going to be our last question. Altcoin trade, it's only available to South Africans or any other person can actually sign up? Because I'm telling you one thing, going to be some Brazilians, they're going to love that. Say like, hold on a second. I can send my Bitcoin over there, trade to gold, have gold. And then because I saw Rocelo posting his pictures on Instagram with the Ferrari, with the McLaren, I want the same life as him. And I want to move to South Africa, to Cape Town, and I want to get there and withdraw my gold. So is that possible for any foreigner to create an account on Altcoin Trade? Or what is the necessary, what is the need? What do they need to actually create an account on Altcoin Trade?
So it is certainly possible. So there's a couple of restrictions, but it's actually very simple. Anybody, anywhere in the world can create an account on Altcoin Trader. If you are a foreigner, doesn't matter what country you are, American, Brazilian, whatever, you cannot withdraw rands or dollars or fiat into your bank account because obviously that's against the law. In South Africa, we are not allowed to send fiat out. But you can withdraw anything else and you can deposit your fiat in. So if you want to put your dollars in, you can deposit it. It'll come through the SWIFT system or the traditional financial system. Go into a bank account. We'll credit you at Altcoin Trader and you can buy Bitcoin. So that you can do. You can withdraw your Bitcoin out. You can withdraw your Ethereum or any of the cryptocurrencies out there. And then, as you say, if they ever came to Cape Town, they could withdraw the gold and they could actually take the gold or the silver and have it in their hand. That is the way the system is designed to work. So absolutely.
It's amazing. Huh? So basically, if you decide to move to Cape Town, which I highly recommend, I love that place. It's in my heart. And definitely, I said that many different conferences and many times. Yeah, born in Brazil, but my blood and my heart is from South Africa. I'm sorry. And that I think in another life I probably be a South African for sure. But it's amazing, those things. And of course, for those that want to travel, remember, we in Brazil, especially the Brazilians, you don't have to be worried about saying, if I have to travel over there. If you just sign up an account with Stratum, and then if you have atarpay.com, for example, you can have with this band, and you can travel, can pay stuff over there, and then you can swap your crypto straight away. And then now you have another possibility. You can actually set up your accounts on Altcoin Trade, and then you can withdraw gold. And here's the beauty. Everywhere in South Africa, you also can sell that gold, or you also can buy the gold. But be careful for the Brazilians. When you come back to the country, if you come back with gold, doesn't matter if it's like 1 gram or 1 ounce or whatever, you have to declare. Here in Brazil, if you think you own the gold that you have, you do not own the gold, right? The government give you the permission to hold it, but it's not yours. Because if one day you leave the country, you also have to declare to the Brazilian government that you are taking the gold out. The restriction for gold is very serious here in Brazil. So if you're traveling, if you bring gold back, make sure you declare, make sure you have everything in place. Otherwise, you may lose it when you get in the country. Richard, I'll give you the last 5 minutes for you to tell people about it, altcoin trade, and to give your finishes.
Okay, Rosella, I often say to people they're very quick to say they're not financial advisors and all of this type of thing, and that to a certain extent really frustrates me because a traditional financial advisor gives such terrible advice. I've personally never met one. What I have met is insurance companies reps, which will only push a product. So without this being financial advice, guys, if you are not invested in cryptocurrency, and I'm not talking about altcoin trader, I'm talking about anywhere in the world, if you do not own cryptocurrency, the new financial system that is being birthed for humanity, you are absolutely crazy. You need to absolutely look at this technology, not for any other reason, but if you know anything about finances, it seems obvious to me that you should know about the top performing assets, no matter what they are. And when you do that research, that'll point you to cryptocurrencies because they simply are the top performing assets. So I don't say get involved in cryptocurrency. I say look at the top performing assets and then make your decision. And you will find that it is cryptocurrency. And I promise you that once you understand cryptocurrency and you realize the potential about this financial system, you will take a very, very different view on the value of cryptocurrency. Right now, myself and a lot of other people that are excited about crypto believe it is tremendously undervalued, and that is going to change in the mid to near future. So the final thing I want to say, of course, we want clients on Altcoin Trader. If you are a South African, Altcoin Trader is a very good place to start because there are so many scams out there, guys. Go with exchanges that you can trust, like Altcoin Trader. But no matter where you are in the world, look at cryptocurrency, guys. You will be doing yourself a disservice if you dismiss it and say, no, it's only for computer people. This is a life-changing technology. Rocelo, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate these type of discussions. Speaking to like-minded people is always very, very invigorating. And every time I speak to you, I am inspired. And, it just sort of breathes that life back into me and kind of lets me know that what I'm doing, there's other people out there that share that passion with me. And I really appreciate that very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that, Richard. A lot of people will say probably, like, guys, come on, you guys are competitors. No, man. No, guys. We are friends. We are fighting. We are warriors fighting in the same side by side. Richard has his company, his exchange. I'm from Stratum. We have our way also to do things. We are warriors. We are actually fighting in the same side by side for just one thing. We want to bring you guys to our army. We don't want you to leave you in the place that you are today, especially in South Africa. I will say that, and I said it in different times. In South Africa, a lot of people know the difference, this thing, black and whites and this and that. Guys, today, your skin color doesn't matter anymore. If you're white or black or colored, that doesn't matter. You're still in slavery for the financial system. Or either you get a fuck out of that system and then come to this new one, because this is the future. When you have the control of their money in your hands, then you will see what the government is going to do for you. Then they will fight to have you. Like Richard says, well, the government should be there to serve us, not the other way around. We are serving them. We are still, so like I said, doesn't matter if I'm black or from a white, I'm still a slave. So what the fuck? Come on. So wake up, guys. Come, doesn't matter if you buy Bitcoin on altcoin trade, or if you buy blue from us, or if you do whatever you do. Like Richard says, have a look on the top four. And here's my very good advice. Let's say you have 10 kilos of gold in your house, and then you said, you know what? I'm done with South Africa. I'm leaving. Try to take your 10 kilos of gold and get out of the country with that, and go to, let's say, for Spain. And then try to go there. it's very difficult, it's very complicated. Or even if you have the money in your bank account, it's not that simple. What happened when you have Bitcoin? You carry in your pocket and you can travel, you can go anywhere. That's why I think this thing is so beautiful. For everybody that stayed there, Richard, again, thank you very much to be here with us today. And for those that is watching us, thank you very much. And for those in South Africa, I'm going back very soon. I will be there. Guys, thank you very much. Richard, very good weekend and have a good braai, a nice biltong, and please, the best wine in the world. Thank you all. And thank you very much for that, guys. Bye. Cheers.